A, B, C, D, chanted the young girl along with her class. The cold metal stung on his skin. As he tucked the gun under his sweatshirt, the thought of his mother laying in a bloody heap on her bed flashed through his mind. He took one last breath and opened the car door. "What comes after D?" the teacher proudly asked her class. "E, F, G," the small girl replied. As he approached the double doors that would lead him into the main lobby of the school, he wrapped his fingers tightly around the gun. The soft click of the door behind him triggered him to pull the gun from his waistband. Cocking the trigger, he pulls the gun into position, and all the small children look in his direction. The children excitedly awaited the arrival of their principal to come and listen to them proudly complete the alphabet they had been working on for so many weeks. Bam! The gunshot rang throughout the room. As small children froze in their chairs, afraid to move, chaos engulfed the small classroom. There would be no answer to what came after the letter G. As the paramedics and policemen arrived and entered Sandy Hook Elementary on that fateful day, they would have to do something no other adult should ever have to do. They placed the future of their town into body bags. Mothers, fathers, and other family members were asked to identify the bodies of their own children. Children who that very morning they had packed lunches for, hurried to finish homework with, and placed on the bus. Not knowing that the goodbyes that were spoken and the kisses that were placed on their foreheads would be their very last. After the last shovel of dirt had covered the much too small coffins, after the flowers had wilted, and the unbearable sorrow had gone numb, feelings of anger soon engulfed the small town of Newtown. The burning question of why still haunts this community. The only way to appease the anger and sorrow is through awareness for other parents and facts on what the United States of America can do to help protect its children. How much do you really know about autism? Did you know that autism affects 1 in 68 children? Of those children, the number rises to affect 1 in 42 boys. 1 in 42. Autism is the fastest growing serious developmental disability in the United States. For the average family, after the diagnosis of autism, it roughly costs $60,000 a year to provide the care and treatment that this child will need to be able to meet its developmental needs. Young boys of these families are nearly 5 times more likely to have autism than girls. There is no medical detection or cure for autism. There is also little research on how to treat autism because of the varying degrees of developmental disabilities. Although the severity of autism can vary widely, many children with this neurological disorder, which typically appears in the first 3 years of life, have problems speaking, interacting with others, sharing affection, and even learning. Thanks to tireless efforts of parents and advocates, public awareness of autism has grown tremendously since it was first identified in 1943. But it is gaining even more attention today than ever before. Congress has held hearings on the condition. Public health agencies are spending millions to study it. Researchers at countless universities are racing to find the causes and the best treatments. But the truth is, many parents are still left in the dark. A mentally disturbed young man killed 20 children and 6 adults that day. This is not the first time, and certainly will not be the last time, that Americans will flip on the morning news channels to see the horror of their own children being slaughtered in their schools. As the grass has now grown over the small graves, and the headstones begin to look worn, many have forgotten the names of the children that were slain that day in Connecticut. The nation has moved on to the next tragic event. The next mass killing will capture the attention of the entire nation, even if it's only for a brief minute. However, the parents of those children will never forget that day. There will be no graduation photos to add to scrapbooks. No family vacations to be posted about on social media. Their children are dead. No one can ever bring them back. These families will live forever with the pain and questions that were seared into the minds the day that Adam Lanza decided to get out of his car and walk into Sandy Hook Elementary. The hardest part is there may never be any answers. Autism is still a relatively new mental diagnosis, with the spectrum of the autism scale being a vast wasteland of many unanswered questions. However, with asking hard questions and digging deeper into the link between this mental illness and the horror of mass school killings, the nation may be able to bring forth answers for both situations. Adam Lanza was a different child. The boy who, while in school, would not speak to his classmates, ignore his teacher's instructions, and stare through the window into a world that others could not see. His fascination with the popular Dance Dance Revolution video game was the only way that he seemed to be able to connect with people. The reports from the Connecticut State Police Department note that Mr. Lanza had significant mental health issues that had affected his ability to interact with others, as well as not being able to live a normal life. It remains unclear if this was a factor in his actions that led to the killings of the 26 people in New Haven. Mr. Lanza was diagnosed in 2005 with the autism variant Asperger's syndrome. Despite the diagnosis, the police department is unwilling to say whether or not Mr. Lanza's diagnosis of Asperger's played a role in his motives for the killings. Many have placed the blame on his upbringing, the lack of a fatherly figure, or his fascination with guns. However, no one is willing to ask the hard question: was Adam Lanza a mentally disturbed individual who did not receive the help that was needed to battle the demons inside of his own head? On December 12th, 2012, the small town lost 20 children and 6 adults. However, they also had lost Adam Lanza and his mother. The body count that day was officially 28. Who were the victims? Mr. Lanza was a victim of his own mind, unable to escape the horrors that played out in his head daily. Instead of seeking appropriate professional treatment, he chose to take the lives of others to justify the end to his suffering. Professional mental health resources, the end of bullying in schools, and more support for parents must be implemented. No family needs to endure the pain of burying their child prematurely, especially when, with the right resources, the murders of innocent children is completely preventable. Murdered or murderer, all have suffered from this great and tragic loss.